Chapter 10. Makoto. I watch her climb into the coach, reliving the moment I watched Hera do the same. When the door swings shut, she's sealed from sight, likely smiling with her friend as though she wasn't just wiping tears from her face. Tears that I am to blame for. I used to wonder what it would take to break her, how long it would be before that happiness of hers was dulled like the rest of us. And now I wish I had never found out. Because I did this to her. I turn away when the coach begins rumbling down the road, stealing her away from me. Lute is overflowing with gawking bystanders, all smiles and waves for their contestant who stopped by for a visit. Pushing carelessly through the crowd, I feel the weight of every surrounding ability, each of them threatening to smother me. It's the first time in days that I've allowed myself to acknowledge the burden of it all, the sheer suffocation of power. If only she knew what I would give to be like her, be what I lied about. Because the wielder I am has only ever made me weak, targeted, alone. But all of that was forgotten when I was with her, when I was simply a phaser in her presence. Now I may never get the privilege of being in her presence again. Maybe I should have let Father have his way with me. Let him finish what he started the day I earned that gash through my lips. It would have hurt less than lying to Dina through them. But instead, I ran to Hera. And now I need to do it again. But this time, I'll be the one saving her. I shove through the crowd, my mind on the coach that rumbles towards the castle I should be going to tonight. I'll need to rework my already risky plan, seeing that I won't have Adina's power to aid me. Sneaking around unnoticed is no longer an option. Simply posing as an Imperial is the only plan I have left. I guess I'll find out just how convincing Adina's uniform is. I'm suddenly standing before the door of my shop, shouldering it open with the familiar sound of screeching hinges. The room looks dull, dreary without her light to fill it. Scraps of fabric are all that remain of her, needle and thread my last tether to our time spent together. I stride slowly around the room, surveying every surface she's left in shambles. A thin coating of honey sticks to the corner of my work table, marking her usual spot. The padded wall for her practice punches still wears the indents of her knuckles. My eyes snag on the crumbled sheets that once draped over her figure, still smelling of her skin. I shake my head, astounded by my absurdity. This was never meant to get so out of hand. These feelings were equally unwanted and unpredictable. She was intended to be a means to an end, the first step towards a new life far away from Ilya and the threats lurking within it. I was content to use her if it meant I could smuggle Hera out of these trials. It was the hope I held on to, because that was all I had left. You had me. Her pained voice echoes in my skull, forcing me to relive the bitter words. But that doesn't make it true, because I'll never be able to have her, never be able to bottle her brightness, stow away her smiles. I don't deserve her, and I've known that since the day I saw her with that god-awful blue shirt. I slump onto the edge of my bed, eyes landing on a piece of fabric littering the floor. Bending to pick it up, my thumb brushes over the jumble of loose stitches. It's the scrap she forced me to practice on. But it's what she's elegantly stitched up at the top that has a smile tugging at my scar. Keep practicing. I trace the letters over and over, reminding myself of the mission at hand. The one where I save Hera from these trials and myself from this kingdom. I never imagined it would be this difficult to leave. Because now there is her and every moment after. I had never known happiness before her, and if there is to be an after in which she doesn't exist, I know I never will again. Dropping the fabric, I run cool fingers over my flushed face. I should have listened to him. Should have turned myself in like father so desperately wanted. Because I now hold Hera's life in my hands after so many years of her doing the same for me. I know what I have to do. But nimble fingers and soft skin are suddenly tugging my heart in the opposite direction.
Chapter 11. Adina. Blood meets my tongue, leaving a particularly unpleasant tang behind. I suck on my finger, attempting to seize the steady stream of scarlet welling on my skin. Typically, my thumb takes the most abuse from the tip of my needle, but it seems my index finger is equally in danger this evening. I examine the mutilated skin, cursing myself for my clumsiness. My mind is far from the fabric in front of me, just as it has been since this morning. Despite my best efforts, it keeps wandering back to Lute and the boy with soot-stained hands, scarred lips, and a sliver of silver hair. I huff, filling the empty room with my aggravation after several hours of silence. Pale moonlight streams through the dusty windows that line the walls, casting a warm glow on the colorful fabric pouring from the shelves and draping over tables. I've spent most of my days huddled up in the sewing room, along with most of my nights, though I've spent as much time with Pei as her busy schedule will allow. While she trains and rests, I try my best not to bleed on the dress I'm scrambling to finish in time. Silver, silky fabric drapes over my leg, coating me in what looks to be melted coins. Once I've ensured that nothing is leaking from my several stab wounds, I run my fingers over the material for the dozenth time. I've never felt fabric like this, let alone afforded to use it. The entirety of this vast room is stocked full of whatever supplies I could possibly dream up. Rolls of fabric litter the shelved walls, while dozens of tables sit atop soft carpet, all for the seamstress's convenience. I think I may have died and awoken in my own personalized heaven. The light at my table hums with power, a fascination in itself. I'm not used to so much electricity, running water, soft mattresses. I could get accustomed to living in a castle. I could get used to truly living. Taking a deep breath, I force my focus back onto the thin, draped sleeve I'm currently stitching to the gown's body. With the ball tomorrow evening, I resigned myself to the fact that I'll be spending much of my night alone in this sewing room. Not that I'm complaining. With Pei fast asleep, there is not much else I'd rather be doing. Besides, I need something to take my mind off him. It wasn't hard to smile and laugh with Pei after I climbed into that coach. No, it was after that was difficult. It was when she set off for dinner with the other contestants, leaving me in a sewing room of strangers, that I was finally forced to think of him. Of the betrayal that hit me like a physical blow, forcing tears to well in my eyes. He lied to me about his power, his plan, his everything. And here I was, thinking he cared for me, thinking that what I felt for him just might have been reciprocated. But it's Hera he wants more than me. Hera he's willing to risk everything for. I shake my head at the fabric I'm furiously stitching. It's treasonous to escape the trials. How could he go through with this plan if he knows the death that awaits them when they are caught? I was bound to die anyway. His reasoning is as tragic as it is terribly true. I don't want to think about what would happen if he was discovered to be a wielder. In short, the king would ensure that was no longer the case. The thought has tears prickling my eyes, blurring the fabric in my lap to nothing but a silver blob. Sniffling, I pull my hair into a messy knot, blinking away the emotion. I'm angry at him. He used me, lied to me. Every thought vanishes when the wall ripples beside me. No, someone ripples beside me. I jump to my feet, clutching the needle between my fingers as if it will do anything to protect me. My eyes widen when an Imperial steps through the wall. An Imperial with the cleanest seams I've ever seen, and black hair interrupted by a streak of silver. His dark eyes flick over me behind the leather mask, landing on what I've pointed at his chest. So, this is what you meant by wielding your needle. That dull voice cuts through me, shocking enough to make me momentarily lose mine. Well, what? I choke on the word and attempt to try again. What are you doing here? He swallows. His discomfort is visible, evident in the shifting of his feet. It's almost as though he doesn't know what to do with himself, and if I weren't battling so many emotions at the sight of him, I might have laughed. I was walking the halls and felt your power. He clears his throat at the mention of the ability he's kept hidden from me. I knew it was you, and I needed to see you. I gesture to the length of him with the needle still poised to strike. Is that the only reason for your visit? He looks away, sighing. Look, I came to see you first. That has to count for something. Well, it doesn't. I cross my arms, tone defiant. Don't let me hold you up on your way to getting yourself killed. Please, he whispers, taking a step towards me. Just let me explain. Explain? I laugh loud enough to have him looking around nervously. You had nearly 2 weeks to explain to me what was going on. Instead, you lied. I step back, my voice strained. And you spent every day knowing that I would never see you again after I was done making that stupid uniform for you. He's persistent, pushing forward as he pleads, Dina, please. If you don't like what I have to say, you can stab me with your needle once I'm done. I eye him skeptically. Promise? He nods. Yes, but only because I know you wouldn't actually do it. I feel offended, despite knowing he's exactly right. You don't know that. I know you, he says softly, and I know that I'm the fighter and you're the lover. I swallow. Go on. He takes a heavy breath, one that holds the weight of something he's carried for years. I ran away from home. I was 14 at the time. His head shakes slightly. Hera was only 12, living with my family because her parents had died. She's my cousin. Maybe I should have led with that. I struggled to hide the relief flooding to my face. He never talked about what she was to him, and I'm selfishly thankful for their relation and nothing more. We ran away from my parents, started living on our own from that moment on, he continues quietly. She's the only person who's been there for me, the only one who helped keep me alive while I hid in the shadows, terrified that someone would find out what I am. He takes a step closer, swallowing what little space remained between us. That is why I have to do this. I can't let her die, not after she spent years of her life saving me. I'm quiet for longer than he likely expected. I watched him squirm under my scrutiny before finally saying, "Why did you run away?" He shakes his head slightly. That's a story for another time. When? I say. sounding harsher than perhaps I've ever been. You're here to say goodbye, aren't you? So don't lie to me, Mac. There is no other time for me to finally get to know you. There's not much worth knowing, he murmurs. Fine. I stare him down with the pointed look I learned from my mama. Then I think we're done here. You want to get to know me? He rips the mask from his face, revealing the strong features hidden beneath. I know that not a single person has convinced me to care about them before you, but Hera's family, he corrects. But you're the embodiment of everything I am not. And yet, here I am, crawling back to you as though I've left a piece of myself behind. He slowly lifts a hand, and I hold my breath when his fingers run down a loose curl. And it scares the shit out of me. So, I breathe. What exactly are you saying, Mac? I mean, in the simplest way possible, tell me what I regret not buying that blue shirt from you. If only so I had your attention long enough to convince you that red suits you better. I regret not telling you how much I like it when you blow those bangs out of your eyes, or the way you clap after finishing a row of stitches. I regret smothering every smile you made me want to give you. And I regret not telling you the truth. But most of all, not saying goodbye. My heart plummets, sinking into the stomach filled with butterflies. I can't say a thing, can't move an inch as he leans towards me and footsteps echo from the hallway outside. We jump apart, eyes flying to the closed door and the growing sound of steps behind it. Mac fastens the mask back onto his face, his expression far too stoic for our situation. You need to go, I whisper urgently. Imperials never come in here, and if whoever that is sees you, they will know something is going on. I need to get Hera, he says evenly. They will catch you. I plead with him, frantically trying to make him understand. For all we know, that could be Kai out there, Adina. Go! Please! I beg. There is no need for both of you to die. The footsteps grow louder with every second spent arguing. He shakes his head. Then I have to come back tomorrow for her. You can't. My eyes are pinned on his. They guard the contestants' doors the night before a trial. They would stop you before you could even make it to her. He opens his mouth to argue, but my whisper quiets him. Please, Mac, don't regret this too. He stares at me for a long, unblinking moment. And right when I think he's about to make a horrible decision, he strides over to one of the many windows leading to the ground outside. Before he phases through to the open air beyond, he turns to murmur, Come see me, please. I don't think I can handle losing both of you. And then he's gone, melting through the wall and into the night. I have just enough time to take a steadying breath before the door swings open. My mouth drops at the sight of the man in the doorway before my knees bend into a curtsy. Your Highness! Hi, sorry. I wasn't expecting you, or else I would have not been here. The future king laughs lightly, like I've seen him do so many times with Pei. Maybe, I admit with a hesitant smile. I don't blame you, he shrugs. I'm not as much fun as I used to be. Oh, I'm sure that's not true, I laugh. And then I'm suddenly clearing my throat to ramble. I mean, not that I think you're lying, of course. It's just that I know Pei enjoys her time with you, so you can't be too boring. I end the sentence with an unsure question while fighting the urge to flee the room. I should really work on keeping my mouth shut. Does she now? He asks, sounding amused. That is news to me. I was beginning to think she despised me. Well, she should know better than to despise you. I sigh, shaking my head. Your Highness, I add quickly. But she doesn't always do what she knows she should. He nods in agreement, a slight smile on his face. That I have learned. He strides over to the illuminated table draped in silver fabric. That is actually why I was hoping to find you here. Really? I stutter, my smile widening. What could you possibly need from me? For starters, he sighs, I need you to start calling me Kit, not Your Highness. Then, I need some advice. I beam. I think I can do both of those things for you, Kit. Perfect. He clasps his hands in front of his navy tunic. Now, is this the dress she'll be wearing to the first ball? I nod vigorously. Isn't it beautiful? Ugh, I can't wait to see it on her. And the cut of it will really accentuate her. I press my lips together at the reminder of who I'm talking to. You get the point. It will look great. Oh, I'm sure it will, he sighs, looking unsure. She will definitely be making a statement. I fight to hide my frown. And you don't want her to? I want her to be careful, that's all. He runs his fingers over the smooth fabric. There are people out there who will take offense at her boldness. You know, not wearing green, as is tradition. I nod slowly, unsure of what to say. Thankfully, he speaks instead. So, what do you think? Tux and a black tie? He runs a hand through messy blonde hair. Not that it matters. I doubt very many people will be looking at me anyway. I giggle softly in agreement. Wear a silver tie clip. And don't be offended if she doesn't even notice, but it will be a nice touch for those who care enough to look closely. Oh, there is always someone looking closely. He breathes before falling silent. The light hums atop the table, the only sound for several seconds. That's before I clear my throat to say, well, I'm always available for all your fashion needs. His eyes meet mine. Can you tell me what I'm doing wrong? The question startles me for a moment. With your outfit? I look him over. I mean, that color definitely complements your skin tone. No, he chuckles. Peyton. She will hardly look at me. He lifts his hands in exasperation, scoffing slightly. I mean, I'm not sure what to do anymore. I find her fascinating in a way that no one has ever been before. Like she's realer than anything I've encountered here in the castle. I smile at the sound of his voice, at the sincerity coding each word. I can sense a smittenness I doubt he's even acknowledged yet. And part of me hopes to see my best friend beside him with a genuine smile on her face. Maybe in another life they were meant to be. A life where he wasn't the heir to an elite throne, and Pei wasn't punished for being an ordinary. Pei is a difficult creature. I place a hand on my hip. Trust me, I know this firsthand. But she's consistent with what she wants the most from others. I shrug. Honesty. Someone she can talk to. And for you especially, an open mind to what she has to say. He nods absent-mindedly. An open mind, huh? I nod. You're the future king. I can imagine she has a lot of suggestions for you. He chuckles. I'm sure she does. Then he's turning towards the door. Thank you, Adina. But you may not be rid of me yet. I'll likely need more advice in the future. My grin is wide, and I'll be here for as long as you'll allow. He returns my smile. Once I'm king, I may just need to make you an advisor of mine.
Chapter 12. Makoto. I've been hammering steel since I saw her. I don't think I've stopped for longer than it took to choke down some food. Channeling every emotion into a physical blow is the only thing keeping me sane these past 24 hours. Because I failed Hera, damned her to death, and the guilt of that is threatening to swallow me whole. I should have gone to her first, should never have been so distracted by Adina. But the pull of her power was so familiar, so comforting, that I couldn't help but follow the feel of it. The presence of her is hypnotizing, so much so that I missed my chance to save Hera. Guilt has my hammer slamming into the steel over and over. The rhythmic sound lulls me into a state of detachment, numbing any notion of feeling. The metal glows red. I couldn't save her. My hammer hits hard. She will die in these trials. A wave of heat hits my face. I failed. Hair stands on the back of my neck at the familiar feel of her. I straighten, dropping my tools to the ground as the power grows with each passing second. My eyes drift to the door, feeling each step she takes towards it. When she knocks, I almost laugh. Whipping open the door, I'm met with wide eyes and a timid smile. She gives me about 3 seconds to stare before her arms are around me, squeezing tighter than I imagined she'd be able. After a moment, my hands find her back, holding her tightly against my chest. "You're here." Her voice is muffled. "Only because you are." I smile at her words. "You know you can just walk through the door, right?" "I didn't want to scare you." "I can sense you, hun." I breathe in the sweet scent of her hair. "I always know when you're near." "Right." I feel her shrug. "I'm still getting used to that." "And I'm still getting used to you knowing that." She pulls away, looking up at me with those big eyes. "But there is still a lot more I need to know." "Oh, is that right?" "It is." She grins mischievously. "And you still owe me a night in the fort, remember?" I don't recall ever having an urge to do that. She huffs, fitting her hand into mine before dragging me out of the door. "We had a deal, Mac." "A deal implies that this is mutually beneficial." "Oh, you're so dramatic," she teases unsympathetically. We weave down the dark streets, hand in hand. She's nestled close to my side, seemingly blissfully unaware of her surroundings when she's in my presence. I guide us through the shadows, allowing her the luxury of looking anywhere but in front of her. After I've steered her by the shoulders for the second time, she looks up suddenly to say, "Thank you for leaving last night." I nod slightly at the reminder of what I didn't do. Noticing this, she adds, "Are you all right?" I consider this for a long moment. "I never really was." "I'm sorry you couldn't save her," she whispers, "but you did everything you could." "Not everything." She frowns up at me. "The ball is happening as we speak, and after that, Hera will be guarded until the trial. Getting caught wasn't going to help anyone." I shrug. "It would certainly speed up the inevitable." "You won't get caught," she huffs. "There are very few people who know what you are, and, lucky for you, I'm fabulous at keeping secrets." Tapping a finger against her full lips, she adds, "And what makes you so sure Hera can't survive these trials? She's a Veil, after all." Adina offers me a sympathetic smile. "She might not need to be saved." I nod numbly, remembering all the years Hera has survived in the slums. Maybe I have underestimated her, and maybe that is exactly what she will tell me on the other side of these trials. "I hope you're right," I manage gruffly. Silence stretches between us until she can no longer handle the absence of conversation. "This is probably not the time to ask. Actually, it definitely isn't. But how did the Imperial uniform do? Any suspicion from the other guards?" I shake my head. They barely even glanced at me. After walking for nearly an hour and a half to get to the castle, I continued right through the entrance closest to the bowl, as if I had just come in from a rotation. I can see the smile she's attempting to hide. Well, I'm glad my work was convincing. Yeah, it was perfect, I sigh. And all for nothing. I'm sorry I wasted your time. I was with you, she smiles softly. How could that have been a waste of time? I don't have a chance to answer before she pulls me round a corner, leading us towards a dead end. Here we are, she exclaims far too enthusiastically at the sight of a dark alley. Home sweet home. Stepping closer, I catch sight of a miscellaneous mound of items, all piled together to create a barrier against the wall. It's nearly 3 feet tall and sitting atop several rugs and ragged blankets. This, I say slowly, is where you sleep? Yep, this is Payside. She gestures to the left side of a worn rug, which obviously makes this half my side. After phasing through the barrier of trash, she then plops down onto her designated area of the rug. This spot is reserved for Pay, but I'll make an exception tonight. Oh, lucky me, I mutter, slowly beginning to muster the strength to sit down on the filthy rug. Plagues, this place is a shithole. Hey! The back of her hand meets my stomach. It's home. Well, your home is a shithole. She gives me a pointed look. You don't have to be rude. Have you met me? I ask this very genuinely. I have, and I think you're kinder than you let on. If her answer wasn't equally as genuine, I might have laughed. And what makes you think that? She looks suddenly timid, slightly unsure. You're the only one who wanted to buy my blue shirt. My confession comes racing back to me, as though it was much longer than a handful of hours ago that I spewed it. I had been so focused on Hera's fate that the hushed spilling of my heart has yet to cross my mind. But now that it has, I'm flustered at the sight of her, at the reminder of every word I uttered. Do you still want to? She asks quietly. I nod slowly, my eyes never leaving hers. Only if you will let me tell you something in exchange for my business. Deal, she breathes, fighting a smile. Reaching into my pocket, I pull out a single shilling to offer her. She stares at it. I was selling it for 3. Yeah. I draw out the word. And how was that working out for you? She crosses her arms. 3. I didn't realize you were in any position to negotiate. 2, she amends, and a smile. I visibly weigh the offer, tilting my head back and forth. That's a bit steep, honey. She sighs. Just the smile, then. That was the steep part I was referring to. Her words are gentle, as though she's speaking to a spooked animal, and, in a way, that's a fair comparison. Will you tell me? About you? About why you won't smile for me? It's not personal, Dina. I shift to lean against the wall, draping my arms over bent knees. It's just something I stopped doing the day Hera and I ran away from home. She raises her eyebrows in silent encouragement to continue, to which I blow out a breath of annoyance. Fine, but I'm getting that damn shirt for free then. I take a pause, collecting my thoughts before continuing. I grew up on the other side of the slums. My parents were, well, are, the very definition of poor mundanes. They could barely feed themselves, let alone any children. Long story short, and private details later, they unexpectedly had me. It wasn't much of a childhood, really. I say this with a shrug, as if it had little impact on who I turned into. They didn't want to have a kid and never intended on feeding another mouth. But there I was, begrudgingly forcing them into parenthood. She listens intently, head tilted, eyes wide, elbows on her knees and face in her palms. It's endearing at least, adorable at most. Like all elite toddlers, I couldn't control my abilities. But seeing that my mother was a sight and my father a bluff, they figured I was simply another mundane to litter the slums. I sigh. Well, until I got old enough to draw on the more physical powers of those in my vicinity. I almost lit our shack of a home on fire when I was 5. This led my parents to believe that I was a late bloomer, but a burner nonetheless. That is, until I began crawling up the walls within the same hour. I glance over at her, finding a dramatic look of awe on her face. If it were anyone else, I might have thought they were mocking me. But it's Adina, and this look is mild compared to the one she gives me at the sight of sticky buns. "What then?" she urges, waving a hand encouragingly. Then they started to figure out what I was. My voice is dull, masking the bitterness biting each word. They didn't know what to do with me, kept me locked inside our little shack. Hera was the first person I remember seeing other than my parents. She showed up on our doorstep when I was 7, and we quickly became inseparable, seeing that we had no one else. I hadn't noticed my thumb was trailing the length of that scar cutting my lips until I catch her gaze tracing the movement. As I got older, I began to understand why it was that I wasn't allowed out. I was still learning to control my abilities, and being a wielder means certain death. I am, a threat to the king because of a power I didn't ask for. My parents knew this, and it was clear that I was unwanted, especially by my father. I glance up at Adina, hoping for a reason to end this conversation, though I find nothing but concern in her hazel gaze. Nothing but gentleness guiding her hand towards my knee, seeping comfort from every splayed finger. He thought I was useless, told me as much. Swallowing, I attempt not to stumble through each word in my haste to get them out of my mouth. I couldn't work at the shop with him, couldn't leave the house without fear of being found out. I was an expense, a nuisance, a disappointment. "You're not," Adina breathes, shaking her head firmly. "Oh, I was." I nod, my eyes drifting up to the sky above us. I just wasn't fortunate enough to be loved despite it. When my eyes find hers, I regret having said anything at all. It's as though every word has dulled the sparkle in her eyes, smothered her smile into a dreariness undeserving of her lips. I never imagined she could look so grim, and I hate that I'm the cause of it. But knowing she won't allow me to stop now, I continue with a deep breath. I had Hera. My parents tolerated her more than they did me, seeing that she earned money by performing street magic as a veil, but things only grew worse as we got older. Father started drinking more heavily, and Mother did nothing to stop it. And that is when I began learning how to defend myself. I run a hand through my hair, shaking my head at the flood of memories beginning to surface. He would come home late from the shop, occasionally bringing back the weapons he'd made that day. He would yell, Mother would hide. I took the brunt of it, shielded both Hera and my mother when it came to it. It was me he was angry with, me who was useless to him. A hand is now covering her mouth, hiding a half of her shocked face. "Is that why you ran away?" Yes and no. I was 14 when my shitty life officially fell apart. She scoots towards me, her hand still sympathetically squeezing my knee. The night it happened was the same as usual. Father came home drunk, ready to pick a fight. He'd walked in on Hera and I laughing about something one of us had said. That's when I saw the flash of a sword in his hand. I'd seen him with weapons before, but nothing so sharp, so lethal. I tucked Hera behind me, as I usually did, and looked around for a mother who was never there. But it wasn't the sword that scared me the most, but Father's words. I swallow. I'll never forget what he said to me that night. He said I would be more used to him if they'd just handed me over to the king, if they had sold me out instead of putting up with me for so many years. And then I blink, feeling emotion beginning to build there. Hating it, I push on, my voice stern. And then he threatened to do just that. Said he'd sell me to the king for the shillings he deserved, and that he should have done it years ago. Mac. Adina's voice is barely a whisper, barely audible over my shaky breaths. I didn't deserve to smile. That is what he told me. My voice grows quieter with each word slipping from my past and haunting my present. I don't remember the sword swinging towards me. Only his voice when he promised to wipe that smile from my face. My thumb finds the scar cutting my lips and shakily traces it. It was after he cut me that Hera and I ran. I didn't know what he would do to her, and I couldn't wait around to see if he would make good on his promise to sell me to the king. I can't look at her, not after what I've said. Hera and I survived in the slums for several years before we were able to afford a real roof over our heads. Still avoiding her sorrowful stare, I add, I forced myself to control the overwhelming power, learn to hide in plain sight, and then I become a blacksmith, just to spite my father. So, something good came out of it. My eyes squeeze shut when her fingers graze my chin. She turns my face towards her despite my resistance. Her palm is soft against my cheek, foreign in its comfort. But when her thumb brushes my scar, I finally meet her gaze. He stole your smile, she whispers, tears clinging to dark lashes. No wonder you didn't have one to give me. Regret rams into me once again. Her words a reminder of every missed opportunity to make her smile with one of my own. I'll find one, I murmur. Steal it back if I must. For you. Her lips lift, eyes shining with tears. And I'll cherish it. Her thumb is warm against my skin as it continues to trace the scar, creating new memories to associate with it. After a long stretch of silence, she allows herself a quiet question. Where are they now? Your parents? I shrug slightly, as though I don't think of it daily. I'm not sure. Probably in that same house on the opposite side of the slums. But I've hidden from them for years, masking myself in the masses. And I'm not dead yet, so I figured Father never made it to the king. I scoff. They must be satisfied enough with my absence. She nods slowly, taking in my words before making a proclamation of her own. You are far from useless. You are strong and clever and can really pull off an imperial uniform in the best way possible. Her eyes are full of fire, even with her thumb still pressed against my lips. And no one can take away your smile. It's yours to give, Mac. I grab her wrist, gently pulling it down enough for me to speak. Makoto. Her lashes flutter. What? Makoto, I mutter. She squeaks when I tug her towards me with the wrist I'm still holding and a hand behind her knee. My name is Makoto Kitan. Her eyes widen, closer to mine than they ever have been. Now you can properly scold me. I hear her swallow. And what else should I know about you, Makoto? Tilting my head in a sort of shrug, I say, this may come as a shock to you, but I can be a bit blunt at times. She smiles encouragingly. Self-awareness is the first step to change. Oh, I'm not planning on changing. I was just ensuring that you knew this was a recurring thing. Now, what else? I sigh. I've never been able to skip properly. Not sure why that is or why I'm embarrassed about the fact. Oh, I'm not a fan of spoons, only forks. I enjoy radishes more than the average person, and I've never been much good with a bow. I watch her reactions to my words, how they start in her eyes before spreading to the rest of her face. Go on. I know there's more. Sorry, hun. Your turn. My eyes flick between hers. I'm going to need some details in return. She smiles, effortlessly dazzling. Oh, well, that might take a while. You really think I was going to get any sleep down here? I raise my eyebrows. No, I have every intention of talking about you till morning. And then I take a slow breath, allowing myself something that I haven't had any desire to do before meeting her. And, terrifyingly, it comes easily. I smile.
Chapter 13. Adina. Pei is not going to be happy about you scrubbing the tub. I sing-song my warning, smiling at her crouched form as I say it. With brown hair tied up in a knot, Ellie whips her head towards me, sending wispy strands blowing into her eyes. Then she never need know about it. I cross my arms, looking down my nose at her teasingly. And you trust me enough not to tell her? Ellie lifts her sponge, dripping water as she points the dull end at me. She smiles softly. If I go down, you go down with me. Besides, I'm her maid. This is what I do. I sigh, leaning against the doorframe of the bathroom. The entirety of Peyton's room is spotless, seeing that she's been gone for nearly a full week now in the first trial. All of it is very unnerving, and I don't like the idea of Pei being in these special trials. It's hard enough to survive as it is. At that gloomy thought, I turn my attention back to Ellie, now loudly scrubbing the bottom of the tub. Any ideas for her next gown? The second ball is already in a week. Not really. She's forced to raise her voice over the water that is now running. Who knows what color she will be wanting next? Well, I'll just have to wait for her to tell me then. I say this confidently, as though I know for a fact that she will be coming back alive today. Because the silver dress will be difficult to top. Ugh, she looked so stunning with the drooping sleeves and slitted skirt, and you didn't even get to see her turning heads at the ball. Ellie peeks up at me, pressing her lips together in a knowing smile. Well, I say, flustered. I was there to help her get ready and wish her luck, of course. Right. Ellie's smile is far too mischievous for her sweet features. Because you were busy seeing your boy. He's not my boy, Ellie. I scold, despite the smile beginning to form on my lips. And I don't regret sneaking out one bit. I took him to the fort, and we talked for hours about every little detail. I can feel my cheeks heating at the thought. He told me that he had a dog growing up. Well, it was a stray that would come and visit him, but isn't that adorable? I learned all about his favorite things and how he prefers green apples to red. Oh, and he said my hair is, and I quote, Very bouncy. I beam, forcing myself to take a breath. Anyways, I've seen him almost every day since. Sometimes we meet halfway, or I leave early in the evening so I get to the slums before dark. No one seems to care where I go, so long as I'm back in time to make Paige dress. Ellie lets me finish my squeal before saying, "Wow, you really are falling for him." I still my dancing feet at her words. Falling is not what I do. No, I trip into love, unable to slow down long enough to question these feelings or the person I've dumped them on. But I've liked boys in the past, and nothing compares to how easily I'm tripping into this one. Have you told Peyton? I blink out of my daze. Ellie narrows her eyes slightly. You haven't told her, have you? I huff, plopping down on the spotless floor beside her, one I'm suspecting she scrubbed before I arrived. No, I haven't, but I will, just not yet. I pick at my fingers, falling into the same dilemma I've had since being reunited with Peyton. She has so much on her plate at the moment, and she needs to keep her focus on the trials. I don't want my love life to be a distraction for her, because, trust me, Pay would not stop until she met Mac and approved. I shake my head, making up my mind. No, I can't have her losing her focus or worrying about anything to do with me when her own life is at stake. Ellie's silent for a long moment before nodding slowly. She won't be happy about being left in the dark. I smile, small and teasing as I nod towards the bathtub. Same goes for your cleaning, my dear Ellie. Before she can splash me with water, I hurry from the room, shouting, I'll be back. I'm off to meet my boy. It's an effort not to skip down the hallway in excitement. I can hardly contain my anticipation to... I nearly run into a large figure rounding the corner. In the midst of my sputtered apology, my eyes trail up to the green ones boring down at me. I blink, horrified by what I've just done, and sweep into a curtsy. Your Majesty, I squeak. I am so very sorry. I really must get better at watching where I'm going, especially in such a crowded castle where a large, raised hand has the remaining words dying in my throat. My eyes flick from the palm hovering before my face to the man standing behind it. Everything about the king is large and looming. He stands well over a foot above me, and his piercing gaze feels as though it might cleave me in half. Swallowing, I stand before him as his scrutiny sweeps over me, lingering on my messy hair and crumpled clothing. When his silencing hand finally falls, I feel oddly stripped bare before him. And who might you be? His voice is deep in a way that is far from comforting. I shift on my feet, attempting to sound at ease as I say, I'm Adina, Your Majesty. What a pleasure it is to meet you. The smile he gives me is menacing at best. Let's not lie to your king, Adina. I'm likely the last person you wish to see, seeing that you're in such a hurry to find someone else. My mouth opens and closes several times before words begin to fall out. Oh, well, I just have a lot of work to do before the next ball and was hoping to get a head start on things. You know, picking fabric and calculating measurements. His hand lifts once again. I haven't seen you before, he says evenly. Why are you here? Oh, I'm Peyton's seamstress. I say this as cheerily as I can muster. She sent for me since I've gotten quite good at making clothes for her over the years. He contemplates this with narrowed eyes. You are close with Peyton, I take it? Yes, very. I smile, relieved to be talking about something so comforting. We've lived in the slums together for years, so it's no shock that we are the best of friends. I see, he hums. She must be very happy to have you with her. I nod. Oh yes, we both are. Well, you will be happy to know that she survived this first trial. His tone is dull, as if he'd been hoping for a very different outcome. I suppress my relieved sigh. Of course she did. I'd expect nothing less from Pei. Pei, he repeats softly, lifting the edge of his mouth in that unnerving way. How sweet. I do my best to keep the smile on my face, even as I'm shifting uncomfortably on my feet. I'm about to attempt a quick curtsy and swift escape when he sighs. Yes, how fortunate that Pei was not one of the casualties this trial. I blink. If you don't mind me asking, Your Majesty, who were the casualties? He shrugs slightly, as though these deaths mean little to him. Sadie, a shame. I'm close with her father. Oh, and the Veil girl from the slums, though that was unsurprising. His voice fades, muffling as my ears begin to ring. My eyes fix on the wall behind him, glazing over as the gravity of his words weigh down on me. Hera is dead. All I can think of is Mac, of the guilt on his face when he finds out, the agony in his voice following every word after. How terrible, I say shakily. I'm so sorry to hear that. His voice is eerily cheery. Such is the trials. When he says nothing else, I sink into a wobbly curtsy. It was an honor meeting you, Your Majesty. I move to scurry past him and startle when his booming voice follows me down the hall. Oh, I'm sure we will be meeting again, Adina. Late afternoon light paints Lute in a warm glow by the time I step onto the busy street. I would have run the whole way here if it weren't for my lack of endurance proving that to be difficult. But I followed the path down by the bowl arena with much more haste than usual. The street is packed with shouting customers and squealing children. I push my way through as politely as possible, eyes trained on the crumbling building that houses his shop and home. I'm not sure how I made it to his looming door, but I'm suddenly standing before it. I raise a hand to knock and the door swings open. I still at the sight of him. He's standing there, eyes glossy and brimming with a guilt that tells me he already knows why I'm here. I felt you coming, he whispers, voice weak. My eyes drift to the crumpled paper clutched in his hand, catching the familiar lettering scrawled across it. A flyer for the trials. What a horrible way to find out. Tears well in my eyes as I take a step towards him. Oh, Mac. His composure crumbles before his body suddenly crashes into mine. He slumps against me, shoulders shaking as I wrap my arms tightly around him. The flyer showcasing Hera's death flutters to the ground, forgotten in the wave of emotions threatening to drown him. His body shudders against mine, limbs limply draped round me. She's gone, he chokes out. She's gone, and it's all my fault. Sniffling, I whisper, No, it's not. Don't you go thinking this is your fault. Sobs rack his body, shaking the two of us where we stand in the doorway. It should have been me. His arms clutch my waist, holding onto me for support. It should have been me. Shh. I run a hand down the back of his hair, feeling hot tears slip from my eyes. It's gonna be okay. Dina. His voice is a whisper, a guilty confession. It should have been me. I wish it was me. Don't say that. I squeeze him tighter, feeling his body shake with each breath. I need you. Don't. he murmurs against my hair. I'll only disappoint you.